Question. On 18th November 2018, after offering the evening incense at the Guanyin City Center, I received a thought message from the Bodhisattvas that the underworld had asked me to go there that night. When I returned home and fell asleep, I found myself enveloped in a ray of golden light as I was taken to the heavenly realm. Arriving at the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva, I saw victorious fighting Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, the Buddha, Nanjing Bodhisattva, Guandi Bodhisattva, Guanping Bodhisattva, and Zhouchang Bodhisattva having a meeting. After paying my respect to every one of them, victorious fighting Buddha asked me, when there are differences of opinions among fellow Buddhists and disciples, how shall one deal with it? I replied, the Master once said that preserving harmony should be the highest priority, and that one must not allow their selfishness and distracting thoughts to take hold. Selfishness leads to distracting thoughts. Victorious fighting Buddha asked again, how should a person cope with their distracting thoughts? I answered, we should replace thought with no thought. Master Lu said that the state of no thought is virtuous. If one has no thoughts, they create no karma. Because we are still in the process of cultivating, our thoughts that arise are not in a state of perfect enlightenment. When we encounter the inner demon, unwholesome thoughts appear, and even a slight mistake in our thoughts will create negative karma. If you find yourself in a conflict, you must immediately recite sutras. That's what I learned from reading Master Lu's words of wisdom and the storybook about Menbao. Upon hearing my answer, Nanjing Bodhisattva smiled. Although I didn't know if I had answered correctly, I could only stand to the side and await further instructions. The Buddha said telepathically, parents in the human realm overly pamper their children. They overindulge them, and their grandchildren too, with material goods that lead to bad habits and ignorant behaviors. They soon follow their parents in committing unwholesome deeds, and eventually descend into the lower realms. It's a pitiful sight. If people continue like this, the negative energy will intensify. What awaits them is the suffering of rebirth within the lower realms. After you have watched this trial in the underworld, write it down and quickly send your observations to your master so that it can serve as a warning to the people in the human realm. Parents should set a good example by being noble and virtuous, by accumulating benevolent blessings and virtues, and by studying and practicing Buddhism. That is the right way to sow blessings for future generations. I was whisked off to the underworld in a ray of golden light. When I arrived, I saw 3 offenders all kneeling. The king of hell gave one of the female offenders a stern look and declared, you completely lack any sense of morality, and you indulge yourself in sexual pleasures. You were married, yet you lacked self-strength. You enjoyed going to nightclubs, becoming intoxicated and having casual sex with different men you met. Some of them were even married. You thought it made you trendy and cool, but you were ignorant of the fact that heaven and the underworld do not tolerate such shameless and lustful acts. There is a saying from the past that lust is the worst of all unwholesome deeds. Those who are promiscuous are bound to receive karmic retribution, and you were promiscuous for a very long time, yet you still dared to argue with me. The female offender was completely unwilling to accept it. She cried, exclaiming, ever since I married my husband at a young age, I endured hardships as I raised a family and took care of our child. When my husband was young, he had an affair. I couldn't stand it, and I vented my feelings to my closest friends. My original intention was just to get it off my chest, and then I wasn't going to take it lying down. I thought about how much suffering I had endured, and the guys I met outside my marriage were really sweet talkers. I was already faced with the hardship of a dysfunctional marriage. Everyone is like this nowadays. Even my friends also had affairs. I didn't even know about the law of karma. Who knew about these things? Sternly, the king of hell replied, "Even so, you shouldn't have stooped so low. Forget it. There is no point saying anything more to you. You are sentenced to punish in the hell of iron bed." The king of hell turned and pointed at the male offender beside her and said, "Your family is very wealthy, and your parents cared for you deeply. They satisfied every one of your materialistic desires, giving you whatever you wanted, but they didn't educate you properly. You became rude and obstinate. Even now, you are still acting the same way right in front of me. It is because you acted imprudently in my court that I ordered the enforcement officers to give you a beating. Your parents were ignorant, but did you think that the offenses you had committed would escape my eyes?" Immediately after the king of hell said this, a display appeared and started to show the offenses committed by the offender before his death. When he was alive, the offender ran a business along with a relative. When it failed, he lied to his parents and blamed it all on his relative. The move sowed great discord between them and enormous financial difficulties for the relative. While working with his relative, he would often go clubbing and have casual sex with girls he met there. He also liked watching pornography on the internet. Even when he met girls who were Buddhists, he coaxed them into having intimate relationships with him, regardless of their willingness, taking away their innocence. The offender's parents were also dishonest in business, and their son followed suit, cheating their relative out of their company's shareholding. He tampered with the legal documents and seized assets that wasn't his. The king of hell glared at the offender and said, "I sentence you to the hell of iron bed, the tongue-ripping hell, and the hell of eye shock. When your sentence is over, you will be reborn as a woman into an impoverished family." The king sighed. "Do you know that it was due to your cultivation in your previous lives that you were blessed to be reborn as a rich family's son, but you committed a series of grave offenses. That's why your life was cut short, and now you are going to hell." Ignoring the offender's resistance, the enforcement officer dragged him out. The king of hell turned to another male offender and declared, "You were ignorant of the Buddha Dharma and the law of karma. That's why you committed the karma of killing. You are now sent to hell for punishment. During the 49 days after your death, one of your family members who is practicing Guanyin Sita Dharma Do perform meritorious deeds and life liberations for you. I will use these merits and virtues to reduce your punishment in hell." Turning to me, the king of hell said, "If a deceased person's relatives practice Buddhism and perform meritorious deeds, such as life liberations for them, during the initial 49-day period, after their death, it will help the deceased to eliminate their negative karma quickly. But once the 49 days is over, the negative karma is set, and only the energy of Buddhist scriptures can help them ascend to a higher realm. Guanyin Sita Dharma Do uses a collection of Buddhist scriptures, little houses, while other Dharma doors have their own ways of helping spirits ascend to a higher realm. However, you must remember not to compare nor make casual comments about other Dharma doors. Every Dharma door has its sutras and mantras that help the deceased to ascend, and they are all equally effective. The reason why little houses can help spirits ascend to a higher realm and so quickly eliminate negative karma is because of the immense power of vows and compassion possessed by Guanyin Bodhisattva. If anyone in the human realm is reckless enough to recite and offer the little houses in a dishonest manner, like those who fill in all the dots of the little house without reciting the sutras in full. Then the underworld will report the names of the culprits who signed and recited them to the heavenly court. This happens after the counterfeit little houses have accumulated up to a certain amount, or when we receive complaints from the spirits about not receiving sufficient scriptures. We have the device to track it. The heavenly court will then write an official letter to authorize our action. I hope you will convey this to the people in the human realm, reminding them to properly recite the sutras. Never use Dharma items to trick people and line their pockets. Don't fool around with the underworld. Buddhist rituals are matters relating to help spirits ascend to a higher realm should never be treated lightly. Otherwise, when you come down and kneel before me, I can only act according to the law. As I finished, I was enveloped in a ray of golden light and returned to the human realm. Master John Honlu's reply: "That's very good. You must remember how much you can learn from these observations. If you have offered little houses of very poor quality, the spirits will not be able to receive them and they can complain to the king of hell." This scenario had been depicted in some dramas in the past. When these spirits appealed to the king of hell, the king would hear the trial, as happened in the Cantonese opera Wang Kui Betrays Gui Ying. When Gui Ying died, she became a spirit who wanted revenge. The king of hell approved her request to go to the human realm and drag Wang Kui away. These kinds of things are not uncommon. If you trick the spirits and the number of little houses you offer is insufficient, you commit an offense, so you must be careful. A similar case, also shared by the same person, was published on our website. A few days later, someone called into my radio program to confirm what was stated in the article posted. There was indeed a fellow Buddhist practitioner who passed away exactly as described in the article. The scenes resembled exactly what happened to him when he was alive. That practitioner is in hell now, kneeling before the king of hell. Practicing Buddhism is no joking matter, nor is it easy. Don't fool around. You must be true to your cultivation.